She's a fashion blogger, model, and entrepreneur.
She's amazing.
The latest tips on fashion, beauty, wellness, travel, and her lifestyle. And now, here's the founder and creator of Not Basic Blonde, Olasha.
Hi, Ed. I'm so glad to have you on my podcast. I'm so honored. How are you today?
Well, it's my honor, and I'm doing great. So thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And of course, we would love to learn more about you since you're such a celebrity and well known.
Thank you. Well, you're pretty well known too, so it's mutual.
Not as much as you are yet, but I'm getting there.
Well, you're working on it. You're working on it. Something tells me you will be.
Yeah. So would you please tell us about yourself, about what do you do?
Wow, that's a broad question. I'm an average, ordinary person. I grew up in middle class, lower middle class. What do I do? I'm an entrepreneur, but I became pretty successful as an entrepreneur by really getting good at personal development and peak performance, mental strategies, learning to build self-confidence. And so I've sort of been in both worlds as an entrepreneur for, I'm old, so 30 years. And then also in the kind of the personal development, brain, peak performance space that entire time too. And then it just turned into social media and then podcasting and speaking and coaching. And so I do a little of everything now, from coaching and training very successful, politicians and entertainers and athletes, business people, all the way to running my own businesses still.
That's amazing. And what helped you to become so successful? What have you had any challenges on the way to success?
Oh, I've had thousands of challenges on the way. I think the things that helped me, so I've had, today was a challenge. I've had challenges this morning. So I think that what's helped me is my faith. I became a person of stronger faith. And so I believe that, God wants me to win, wants me to help people, wants me to be happy. So that's helped me. And then just really, for me, I'm not super smart. I'm not the most talented person in the world. So for me, it's just outworking everybody. And then learning little hacks of how I could improve my self-confidence and my performance, because I did not grow up with a lot of self-confidence. In fact, I grew up with none. I'm really grew up insecure, shy, introverted. Public speaking was like my greatest fear. And so I just had a lot to overcome. So I think just a combination of my faith and then, modeling my dad's work ethic combined with really trying to improve myself and change myself has allowed me to, as I change the internal me, I change the external results of my life at the same time.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I do believe that internal work is very important. And sometimes, even though when we do our internal work, our appearance changes as well. Because when we transform, it's sometimes becomes totally obvious to others too. You're like, oh, you look better for some reason. What happened to you?
I would agree with that. I went to college 150 pounds and pretty scrawny. And, now I'm 218, 220, depending on how much I ate last night, how much I drank. But yeah, it's certainly and one of the catalysts for me, it's interesting, I know you know this, but one of the catalysts for me is my body, meaning one of the ways I change my state is to work out, is to be physical. It's been, I'm a big believer that you're a business athlete. And more that's become prominent, but I've been saying that for 30 years when it wasn't cool to say. I've always trained like a professional athlete. And then now more and more athletes trains like CEOs. LeBron James is a CEO as much as he is an athlete. And you look at, other athletes are the same way. And so most business people now you better be fit. You have to have that competitive advantage, be your best in energy, your best in performance. And so, yeah, definitely physical training is a huge part of my life, even to this day.
Yeah, I agree, because it kind of impacts your mind as well. So it's just it's important to move your body and important to work out and do that. In
No
your
doubt.
opinion, how do you max out your life and your business? And I know you have an amazing book. Yeah, would you please tell us more about it?
I have a book called Max Out Your Life. It's a 100-page book. You can read it in a day. You can go get it on Amazon. I'm in the process of writing a bigger book with a publisher right now that'll be out in the fall, late summer and the fall of 2021. That's a 250-page book. But Listen, I think you have to get really clear on what you want in your life, and very specific. Most people never get specific. It's like, I want to be rich, or I want to be in shape. Exactly how much do you want to weigh? Exactly what's your body fat? What's rich? When I was 20 years old, $1 million was going to be rich. Now, it's not that number, right? So it's being very specific with what you want, and then, finding your bliss, finding a way to be happy. And that's what everybody wants. They think if I get money, I'll be happy. Or if I get a great relationship, I'll be happy. Or if my body looks a certain way. But you don't want those things. You want how you think they're going to make you feel. So if you could find a way to feel those things now, then acquiring those things is much easier. But it's this notion that you're going to wait to be happy until these destinations it's dangerous thinking, because I know a lot of people that I coach that very, very well from TV or sports or whatever, that they get to these places and they're still not happy when they get there. So
I love how you said it. It's not like what we want. It's a feeling about ourselves when we get it. And we sometimes miss that part, and we just chase some happiness or something, and it's not even not there when we achieve it still. So true. Like, I love how you said it.
one of the things that's not talked a lot about is, like, instead of getting clear on like what are the things you want, what if you got clear on what emotions you want to feel regularly? Like, no one ever asks themselves that. What do you actually want to feel most of the time? Because most of us, at least I did the first half of my life, I started acquiring achievements and stuff, but I was still experiencing emotions of anxiety and fear and sometimes depression, anger, feeling lost, that those emotions didn't make me feel good. Finally, I'm like, well, what would I want to feel? Well, I'd want to feel loved and love. I'd want to feel gratitude. I'd want to feel peace. I'd want to feel intensity and passion and ecstasy and laughter, humor. So once I started powerful, I started getting intentional about what are the emotions I want. And the more and more I get these emotions, it's not that difficult to go get the external stuff anymore. But it's when you have this internal conflict of you're living in anxiety and fear and depression and worry, and you think you're going to go achieve big things. That's a difficult space to do that from if you're regularly getting the wrong emotions.
Wow, that's a great point. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And in your opinion, how to max out your confidence? How to gain that confidence that you need to achieve your goals?
That's definitely something that I struggled with, when I was young and even in the beginning of my business career. To me, confidence is not hard to get, though. And confidence is keeping the promises that you make to yourself, period. And most people aren't intentional about it. They start a nutritional program, they stop. They start a certain way to work out, they stop. They intend to make 15 contacts a day in their business, and then they don't. They intend to read a book a month, and they don't. And so they say, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and it's 6:45. So for me, it was simple things like starting to keep promises I make to myself, like when I'm going to go to the gym, what I'm going to eat, when I get up in the morning, am I going to make my bed? Am I going to make a certain amount of contacts every day? And over time, I go, I can trust me. And that's what self-confidence is. It's self-trust. I can trust me. And the more I started to trust me on little things, I could trust me when I set up big things. But this idea that you constantly break promises to yourself, then you set up these big old goals, you don't believe you're going to do those things because you haven't even kept the small ones. And that doesn't make you bad. That makes you human. But if you want more confidence, you need to evaluate keeping the promises you make to yourself regularly for a while. And you're going to find you'll transform yourself when you begin to do that. And the other thing is, give yourself some credit for your intentions. In other words, if your confidence is always going to be contingent on you achieving something, then you're always going to be, it's like a loop. You're always going to be chasing it. But what if you said, I'm confident because I intend to do good. I intend to make a difference. I intend to heal and serve people and contribute to their lives. I deserve to win. I'm a good person. Not enough people, especially the really good people, they're the ones that are hardest on themselves. Why don't you just give yourself credit for being good? Did you ever think about that? And when you start to do that, your confidence can stem from your goodness, which you know to be true about you, instead of some talent or achievement you may or may not have. So for me, it's keeping the promises and then just reminding myself of my good intentions.
For me, it was the hardest part when I went on my own, like after working 9 to 5, to keep the promises to myself, because, sometimes you're your own boss. Maybe I don't feel like doing this today. Well, I have to, but I promised myself. And then the first time I kind of struggled with it, but I love how you said it, that keeping the little promises actually lead us to huge results. And
Yeah, and I think
it's
you're
very
pretty good.
important.
I watch your stuff. You're pretty good. And when you do, if you're talking about being an entrepreneur, that you just hit on it. I've seen so many entrepreneurs, especially in some of my businesses, where they've left their job and they think they no longer have a job. When you're an entrepreneur, you have 10 jobs now. You left one for 10. It's way more work. Like not anybody that's an employee, I respect that. I was one too. But we kind of get there when we get there and we leave when we leave. As an entrepreneur, you never leave and you never just don't get there. It's all the time. And I don't think most people have an appreciation for the amount of work, just flat out freaking work it takes to become a multi-millionaire or billionaire. It takes a ton of work, and you dramatically underestimate how much, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it never stops. It's like you don't just like leave work and forget about it. You just like think about it all the time, and you have to like build boundaries. Like you have to tell yourself, okay, I will take day off today. Or
yeah, you do need to do that. I was terrible at resting. And it drives my wife crazy. It's 2:00 in the morning. I wake up. She's like, get off because I type notes into my phone or I write notes. I'm like, I woke up with an idea. I woke up with something I got to do tomorrow. Here's a thought. I've just sort of accepted. I always thought too, by the way, once I get really, really rich or whatever it might be, this will all stop. I'll just get to a point where I don't want to do it anymore. And it's just, I was thinking about it today. Like I have like 17 meetings today on a Monday. And I'm like, it just doesn't stop. Like I need to accept the pace. It's just probably going to be a minimum. I interviewed a man today for my podcast. It'll be out in a few weeks. He's 71 years old. He's worth $3.5 billion. And he has a TV show. He runs a fund, an investment fund. He's the chairman of like 5 different institutions. Like he's 71 years old. He's 22 years older than me. And he's running at the same pace I am. So I might as well just accept this is my crazy life.
I know it was a little bit hard for me at first because like all this I have to do, it's like the amount and like everyone wants something from you and you have to respond to all these emails, all these meetings, and it's like nonstop.
The good thing is I'll give you something that's never said on shows. It's different when you don't have to do it though, and you still do it. In other words, when you're in the middle of the grind and it's all these emails and all these things and you have to do it because there's a pressure on you to do it financially, that's different than what I'm doing now, which is I'm doing it really just because I want to, and I don't have to. And it's just weird. I don't know how to say it without you having to get there eventually, but like there's just a lack of pressure about doing it now or stress about doing it. Even though I still do it, it's different than having to do it. And so just know that although the pace may not change someday, the emotional burden of having to do it will go away once you're, hopefully wealthy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And what does success means to you?
That's a great question. It certainly isn't just money, although part of my blueprint is money. But like my dad was a very, very successful man who never accumulated a lot of money. I know my sister's a school teacher at a private Christian school. She doesn't make money. She's very successful though. And the reason is that I think there's 2 things that make you successful. One is when your life conditions, the way you're living, matches up to your vision for it. So there's a congruency between what you want to be doing and you're doing it or experiencing it. And then the second one is that when you kind of just finally uncover what some of your gifts are, whether that's like my sister, who's the school teacher, she's just kind and cares and is nurturing and has this way about her where people are very comfortable with her. She's a perfect school teacher. Right? Me, I'm kind of intense and driven, and it might be your listening skills, your humor, your beauty, your math skills, your problem solving skills, your discipline, your relentlessness, your resiliency. It doesn't matter what it is. But once you figure out what a couple of your gifts are, and then you use those gifts in the service of other people, you're probably going to be pretty damn happy most of the time. So those are the 2 things. I
agree. It's like everyone is trying to find their why. And for me too, like success is not just money, it also happy family as well, because you can have all the money in the world, but then you're going to be lonely. And who are you going to share your money with? You can find people, but it's not going to be like.
It's true. And I know a lot of people with money who aren't happy. But now for me, And then you know what I don't like is when someone gets rich and then they go, oh, money doesn't matter. That's easy to say when you have a bunch, right? So I don't want people to think that I don't think having money matters if that's a priority for you. So like my dad, that was never a priority. My sister, that's not something she cares about. But if it's something you care about, then you need to go get a bunch of it because it's part of your blueprint for what you want. And in my case, I'm a dreamer. I wanted a jet. I wanted nice homes. I wanted to be able to do things for my family, pay their homes off, or when they had a medical emergency, be there. I wanted to be able to give to the organizations and causes that matter to me, right? I like nice cars. I like great bottle of wine, right? So that's not bad or good. It's just how I am. And it's not my number one priority. Could I be happy without money? Absolutely. Am I happier with it? Yes. I often say I've been happy rich and I've been happy poor, and happy rich is better.
Yeah, I agree. You know what, like, always kind of upsets me that some people say, oh, you like nice things because you're just like, you only like nice things, and it's kind of bad because you only care about material stuff. But no, you can like nice things and you can still be a nice person and help others. And I mean, love money, it's nothing wrong with it. But some people, there's stigma about money and loving money that it's like kind of evil.
Yeah, I always say, one of my sayings is even one of these gifs on Instagram about it now. I say, people matter, things don't. And things don't matter, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't want to have them. I mean, listen, I have a Global Express jet. That jet could pick me and you up right now and take us nonstop to London if we wanted to go, right? On my plane, there's a shower, there's my family and I, we got 3 beds, we can sleep when we fly. It's pretty cool, right? Here's the deal. That's better than flying in coach on commercial. It's just better. There's no airport, there's no security, there's no waiting around, I don't have to sit by people I don't want to talk to. It's pretty cool, right? So it's better. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't be great to go, but it's just a better way to travel. So I'm really fortunate that I have that. Having said that, is it as important? Would I trade that for my dad just passed away? Would I give my jet up so that my dad could have 10 more years and I could be with my dad for 10 more years? Of course I would. So people matter, things don't, but that doesn't mean that these things aren't something that can bring us some temporary happiness or convenience in our life too.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sorry to hear about your dad.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Why is it good to be a hustler? I always define myself a hustler, and I've been one since I was 13 years old because I started working, I started selling cosmetics when I was 13 years old, and I had 5 people under me. I had my team at that age. And then it never stopped for me. So
yeah, I love that about you, by the way. I had my first business. I was selling sodas at the golf course when I was 11. I had a card detailing business when I was 12. I had a baseball card business when I was even younger than that. So I've always been hustling too. For me, doing nothing is boring. That's just for me. Now, in all honesty, that doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong. It's just, I know me. You got to know you. For example, my wife works very hard at what she does, but her idea of a great day is not doing a whole lot. Like, she'd like to just lay out and be at the beach, or, her bliss is not found in hustling, right? For me, I can lay on the beach for a day. You might get me a day and a half, but then I start going crazy. I want to be doing something. I want to be moving. I want to be contributing. I want to be growing. I want to compete, and so that doesn't mean that she's wrong and I'm right, or the other way around. It just means she knows what makes her happy. And by the way, serving her family, loving her children, I mean, that's a ton of stuff that she does makes her happy. But the idea for her to get up with 11 appointments or 17 appointments in a day, and going crazy in a given day, that wouldn't make her happy. Now, and this is important because maybe people listening to this are in a relationship where you're like, I got to be with someone just like me. That's not necessarily true. She's not like me at all that way. It's worked out pretty well. So, you don't, maybe having some understanding of what brings them bliss, what brings them happiness, just because it's different than you doesn't make them better, worse, right, or wrong. It makes them different. And that's the spice of life, is having people in your life that are a little bit different than you. Now, most of my friends are hustlers. I'll just be real with you, right? But I got a couple of those buddies like, hey, dude, Let's have a drink, man. Let's play some golf. Let's laugh a little bit. And if I just was around crazies like me all day long, I'd be literally crazy. So it's okay to have people around you that are different.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because we need those people who are a little bit more chilled and like
Yes.
kind of take our mind off, because always
Yes.
think about business and hustle. It's way too much.
Yeah, a lot of my really close friends, people that follow my show, are stand-up comedians, and they're like, these guys aren't even driven. Or I'm like, dude, they make me laugh. And I need people around me that make me laugh. And I give them a little more ambition than they might have. And we make a pretty good combo.
Yeah, I agree. Balance each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
What business advice that rich don't want you to know?
What's business advice the rich don't want you to know? The rich don't want you to know that you are closer to getting there than you think. In other words, a lot of, especially influencers too. So people that are teaching entrepreneurship or teaching personal development, they'd like to make it seem pretty mysterious and complicated, because then they have a lot of value. You need them. So the rich want you to think you need them. The rich want you to think it's complicated and sophisticated and all these other things, when the truth is it's not. Complexity actually is the enemy of execution. So the more complicated you make something, the less likely you are to be able to execute on it. What I've found is most of the businesses that I've been successful in, or other people I know, they find a recipe, they find a formula, and they run that formula over and over and over and over again. And they don't get bored with doing monotonous things. They don't get bored. See, you always think it's this extravagant big account you got to get, or this one thing you need to land. And what it's typically in business, it's doing boring, monotonous things perfectly over and over and over again. And it's getting great at doing 2 or 3 things. I'm serious. It's getting great at doing 2 or 3 things. There's a football coach named Nick Saban, who's the head coach at University of Alabama. I think he just won his 7th national championship. He's arguably the greatest football coach of all time. And he talks about doing these boring things over and over again. And his quote is awesome. He says, we don't do things until we get them right. Right? You always hear that. Do it until you get it right. He says, no. We don't just do it till we get it right. We do this until we can't get it wrong. And that's the difference. It's simple. The difference between winning and losing is so small, it's almost scary to talk about. And it's typically getting great at executing on 2 or 3 things in your business. The rich would like you to think that they're smart and sophisticated and it's complicated and you got to really learn all this stuff. It's not that complicated.
Wow. What helped you to build your empire? Like when you were starting, what helped you the most, like brought the most income, like coaching or?
No, my first income was building a financial services company, recruiting and building a team in the financial services industry. It was certainly how I did that. I'm a team-made multimillionaire by recruiting and developing leaders, by developing people, teaching them the skills to be influential. And so that was definitely the catalyst for me initially. But in the business of selling or recruiting, I learned a lot about how the mind works and how human behavior works and how to influence people. And really what makes people dysfunctional. Why don't they succeed? I remember, I'd recruit someone that you just never know who it is, because in business, you can't measure the heart of a man or a woman. I remember we recruited this guy that played for the New England Patriots, good looking dude, 6'4", handsome guy, had played football, great shape. Same time I recruited a, 5'8", out of shape, person whose English was their second language. They didn't go to college. They both come into my business at the same time. Everybody would have bet on this New England Patriots guy. Turns out he couldn't handle the rejection. He couldn't do the grind. And the little dude ended up being mentally tougher, had the heart of a champion, stuck with it through adversity, and long-term became the multimillionaire. And the football dude was nowhere to be found in a year. And so you just never know. It's the intangibles that make somebody win typically. It's their heart. It's their will to win. It's their mental toughness. It's their ability to focus, overcome adversity. These are things that you can't measure when you first meet somebody. It's not college scores. It's not IQ. It's not who they know or who they're connected to. It's not even their past. Their past isn't even always an indicator of success or failure. It's the intangible things. It's their heart. So that's what I think is the difference.
Very interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think people even think about it too, because
I
they
don't think
usually
you would. I don't think you would have bet on me.
Oh.
I think if you met me at 21, there wasn't anything super remarkable about me. I don't think you go, oh, that guy. I mean, what did I have? I had a deep voice. I guess that's a gift, you know. Like it's a. I mean, I'm always thinking, what did God give me exactly, you know? And I guess it's a decent voice. I mean, that and I don't know, you know. I mean, the rest of it is like God and work ethic because I'm not. I'm really not. Like in my own family, we do these IQ tests. I have a wife and 2 children. I'm 4th in IQ in my own house, right? So it's not that, you know, I didn't know anybody. So it wasn't connections. I had not any big track record of being successful beforehand. I was a bus boy at a restaurant called the Whole Enchilada. And I was a bag boy at Safeway. And I worked in an orphanage. Those were my 3 careers before financial prominence. So you wouldn't have picked me. So
Wow. How to set clear goals and achieve them?
Well, everyone will give you goal setting advice. I'll just give you something no one will say to you because it's just new technology. But the idea that you write your goals down everyone says, write your goals down, read them out loud twice a day. That's great. And that was the last creative goal setting mechanism of the last 100 years. And so that was literally Think and Grow Rich, whatever it was, 1920 something or whatever the year was the book was written. And nothing's evolved since then. Well, here's a newsflash. There's video now. There's other stimulus other than just writing. So one thing I do with my goals that I teach the people I coach is video yourself with your goals so that you can watch the video back over and over again. There's a power to watching you say it into a camera. I am going to do this. I'm going to do that. And watching that video over and over again gives you a visual response in your mind that's a stimulator other than just writing. So write them, but also have video so you can watch that back and watch it in the state you set it in. Because let's be honest, you set up a goal, you're in a positive state. And then when you're reading it 6 weeks later and you just got rejected, it's just not real anymore. So it's powerful to watch you back in the powerful person you were when you created it. So video yourself on your goals. That's one difference that I would teach over things you probably heard from everybody else.
Wow, that's very interesting. I never thought that like you have to video yourself, but actually that's very good advice because you kind of keep yourself accountable and you visualize it too. So
correct. It does both. That's exactly right.
Yeah. And, what habits allow people to perform at an elite level?
They shrink time. They're in a bigger hurry. So I could give you 100 different things, but I teach something called mini days, which is the 24-hour day was created before the internet. Days should not be 24 hours. Days should be 6 hours. You can do more in 6 hours now with technology, with Zoom, with Google than you ever could with a smartphone than you could in 24 hours before. And so I run 6-hour days. 6 a.m. to noon is a full day. I want to get the amount of contacts, fun, productivity, fitness in those 6 hours. Second day is noon to 6. Third day is 6 p.m. to midnight. You get 3 days in a day. I shrink my time frames down. I measure myself every hour. It's a weird thing. At noon, we're at 11:30 my time right now. There'll be a little clock that goes off in my head at the top of every hour. It goes, what did I do this hour? What can I do next hour to double my efforts? I hold myself accountable that way. So scarcity is value. Diamonds are worth more than paper because they're more scarce. And so the more you make time scarce and shrink it, the more valuable it becomes to you and the people around you. You need to be busy for people to take you seriously. If you're available anytime, it's okay if people show up late, if you're not in a hurry. Successful people are just in a little bit bigger hurry. They talk faster, they walk faster. There's just a little energy difference in people that are successful, and it's a fine line. And so that's one of the things that I think is a differentiator for successful people.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And time, like the way we spend our time and like looking back at what we've done during the day and making yourself accountable, it's like kind of keeps you going.
You shouldn't measure at the end of the day, measure it every hour.
Oh yeah, every hour, like you said. Yeah. And how do you unwind?
Golf, 1, comedy, 2, tequila, 3, wine, 4, peanut butter whiskey, 5, and an occasional cigar, 6. I would say those are my my unwinds. I like to travel. I'm pretty good at that now. When I was younger, I didn't really know how to set stuff aside. I'm pretty good at one thing now. I know how to be present where I am. I never was good at that. No matter what I was doing, I was always thinking about the future or some problem or the meeting. I'm pretty good at going, just be in the moment, man. Just enjoy right now. Because I spent 40 years probably not in the moment, just always looking forward or looking back or, you know, whatever. I'm pretty good now. Like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this moment right now. And so that's how I unwind. But a lot of that was alcohol, wasn't it? You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
I usually my Instagram people laugh because like most evenings I'll post me having a drink, just so people know. I typically have one drink when I drink, a maximum two. I was saying this to my sister last night. We were talking about this. I mean, maybe twice a year I have more than two drinks ever. So I don't do it in excess. It's not, I don't even like the taste of most alcohol, but that is sort of how I unwind.
But how did you start like relaxing, you know, because you have so much going on? How do you like block your mind from this and you just like, you know, think?
I had to do one thing. Only one thing works for me. And you're going to think I'm crazy, but like when I'm done, I hide my phone from myself. I am too addicted to looking at my phone. And if it's anywhere near me, I'm going to look at it. So I put it in my bedroom if I'm in the living room, you know, and it's just not there. I wish I were mentally stronger, but like I look at my phone too much. The saddest thing ever is when I go to a restaurant or something, when we went to restaurants, you know, before COVID, and I see a couple there or a family all out to dinner together and everyone's staring down at their phones and not talking to each other. And the reason it's sad to me is I relate to it. You know, I'm going to kick back out now and relax a little bit, but I'm checking my phone every 4 minutes on what's on Instagram, who emailed me, what text do I need to reply to? You know, the truth is there's almost nothing you have to reply to right now. Almost nothing. Almost never is there so-and-so died. This is a 911. Almost never is that on your phone. Now, once in a while it is, but almost never. And so for me, it's just putting my phone in another place. And that sounds crazy, but it's what I do. If I'm at dinner with somebody and I take it in there, I literally put the phone in my pocket, because nothing is more rude than I'm with you at dinner and I go, yeah, and I look down at my phone. That's saying who's ever in here is more important than who's in front of me. And I don't want to do that to people. So that's the change I made. It made a huge difference. It's hard, really hard at first, but then you get used to it. And that's how I unwind.
I agree. It's hard for me too. And I started doing this in 2021. I started doing social media detox on the weekends. So at least one day I try to
Good for you.
look at my phone less.
I need to do that. I need to do
I look at it at all, but
I need a social media fast for about 3 days. I'm due for one right now. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, and what is your favorite quote that you live by?
Well, I didn't say, I couldn't hear you. You cut out. What was my what?
Oh, what is your favorite quote that you live by?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I don't care what your faith is. By the way, I'm a Christian, but I also believe in the quantum field. I believe in energy. I believe in vibration. So I'm kind of weird that way. But, you know, for me, I know how average and ordinary I am. There must be a God to have had good things happen for me in my life. And so I take a lot of comfort and confidence and strength in that I have faith. And, you know, I say this a little bit more lately. I'm a little bit more vulnerable about this, but like I pray every night on my knees. People are like, why do you do that? That's so old school. I do it because it helps me get small. It just reminds me of how small I am in the world. And it hopefully helps me with a dash of humility. And so my faith's really important to me and keeping me grounded and humble to an extent. I still have to watch that. And then just giving me strength and comfort. So
I totally agree with you. Like, I'm Christian Orthodox, so I believe in God, but I also believe in energy too. And it's very important, especially when you become an entrepreneur and you start working with so many people, then it's like you kind of know the energy, feel the energy, and all about that too.
Yep.
Plus,
Totally
everybody's going through like spiritual.
You can feel a person's energy. When you're around certain people, you feel their energy, good or bad, right? You do.
Yeah,
so energy is very much for real.
Yeah. And like you said, you pray every night on your knees. I do too, but I mean, not every night. I need to get better at that. But once in a while I do, and I do believe in that. It's like I think it's the most like when you, I mean, more kind of vulnerable and more like kind of open to, you know, to God and like feel more connected.
Absolutely. By the way, when I say every night, I bet there's 3 or 4 nights a year I don't for some reason, but it's 99.9% of the nights for sure.
Wow. Yeah. And where can our listeners find you? Your social handles, all your information?
I'd go to Ed Mylett on Instagram, which is EDMYLETT. You can go to Spotify or iTunes and look up my podcast, YouTube channel. I've an awful lot of free content that I create myself, and then I have a show where I interview somebody about every single week too. So just look for Ed Mylett anywhere you can find me.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was my honor. I'm like so grateful for you to be my guest.
My pleasure. If there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.